Last night was as good a scene as I have seen at Citi Field since 2015 when the Mets win the World Series. That was electric last night from the crowd. Great job by the Mets fans. Coming out loud, into it, enthusiastic, and the baseball game itself was even better. The Mets win 2-1. They get a huge win. They win 3 out of 4 in this series against Philadelphia. This game had a little bit of everything, right? It had some good pitching by both Wheeler and McGill, surprisingly. Even though it was 4 innings, we'll get to that in a minute. Some excellent pitching. The bullpen that has been just roller coaster up and down all year came in and gave the Mets 5 scoreless innings. Matone, Buto, and Diaz. Diaz getting 2 innings. Diaz walking the tightrope in both of the innings. Tying run 90 feet away. They got a little bit of luck when Alvarez threw behind the hitter, threw behind the runner at third after the strikeout in the 8th inning, and the ball hits the bag and bounces straight up in the air. Any other time, that ball is going either down the left field line and 2 runs of scoring, or it's going to hit the bag and it's going to go, left or right or somewhere else other than straight in the air. And Vientos, I don't know what Vientos is doing trying to field that thing behind the bag. You got to go in and get that thing and get that ball in front of the bag and put the tag down. Now, I'm not completely against Alvarez throwing the ball down there. It's an aggressive play. It's risky. You better not throw it down the left field line, and he just about did. Wasn't a bad throw. Vientos was behind the bag. I don't think he was expecting it. You got to make sure he's ready for that. If you're Alvarez and you're gonna make that play, you got to give him some kind of signal that it might be coming. Be ready. And the Mets get lucky there. It had big clutch hitting. The one that gets lost in the shuffle from last night is the second inning. Tyrone Taylor coming out and getting a big hit in the second inning to tie with 2-out hit to tie that game. And then, of course, Brandon Nimmo in the 6th inning hitting a home run through the wind just about 2-3 feet over the right field wall and giving the Mets the lead, which they would not give up. And this is what the Mets needed. They needed to go into Atlanta. I've been telling you for how long. You got to go into Atlanta where you can lose 2 out of 3 and still be okay. And the Mets found a way, and now they can do that. The way they're playing, they might go in there and win these first 2 games and bury the Braves right off the bat. But they needed to do this because it's been a house of horrors down there. Atlanta's playing well too. Don't get it wrong. Atlanta's been keeping up with the Mets every step of the way. But the Mets winning 3 out of 4 in this series is huge. Kind of figured, I thought there'd be a lot of Phillies fans in there. Kind of a takeover of Citi Field, right? To win the division on their rivals, in their rival stadium, in front of those fans. And the Mets weren't having it. And neither were the fans. They were electric from the first pitch. And give McGill credit, too. In that first inning, that could have got out of hand real quick. It was walk, base hit, bam, bam, and it's 1-0 already, second and third, and you're like, the Phillies could blow the doors off this thing right here and win the division in the first inning. You had Brome come up, he lined the base hit, they were hitting the ball hard. 1-0 Phillies, second and third, and McGill worked his way out of it, got a huge strikeout. Kept it 1-0. And then he settled in. He pitched, it was only 4 innings, but it was a good 4 innings. I mean, he had 6 strikeouts, gave him 4 hits, 2 of which were in the first inning. He really settled down, and McGill really pitched a great 4 innings. And then you got Matone and Buto and Diaz who came in 5 innings, and who would have saw that coming? When they went to the bullpen in that 5th inning, I was like, how do they expect to get 15 outs out of this bullpen? We're holding on to a 2-1 lead. And they did it. Give them credit, they did it. Pete Alonso got standing ovations every time he came to the plate. It looked like he didn't really know what to do the first time he tipped his cap. I think Alonso will be back. But, the story for this season's not been written yet. And now the Mets control their own destiny. They are tied with Arizona for the second wildcard spot. They are two games ahead of the Braves for the third and final wildcard spot. The Padres have gone and hit away with the first spot. They're gonna get that. Whoever gets the third wild card spot is gonna get the Brewers. Whoever gets the second wild card spot is gonna get the Padres. If you want my honest opinion, I'd rather the Brewers. Both teams are good. Both teams are probably better teams than the Mets. But I'd rather the Brewers because I think the Padres are hot. I think they got a lot of young talent. They got good lockdown bullpen pitching, and they got good starters. And the Padres could be a problem for anybody in this playoffs. Phillies are gonna have to wait another day to clinch the division at least. Magic number remains at 1. And this game, as it progressed, like I said, it could have got out of hand in that first inning very easily. Very easily. It was 1-0, and it was not looking good. And all the credit in the world to McGill. And on the sheet, on the box score, it doesn't look, flashy. 4 innings, okay. He struck out 6. He was throwing the ball 98 miles an hour. He was throwing it by Bryce Harper. So he was pumped up. And that you give the crowd a little bit of credit for that too. They get these guys pumped up, and they might add an extra 1 to 2 miles an hour on that fastball. A little extra behind it. And he had that. He was throwing. That ball was popping last night from McGill. And then Diaz does what Diaz does, walks the tightrope. Does what Mets closers do, right? Mets closers have been walking tightropes and leaving tying runs on third base since Johnny Franco was out there when I was a kid. That's what they do. That's what all closers do, to be honest with you. Unless you're Mariano Rivera, that's what they do. And he got it done. He got a big strikeout when he needed it in the 8th inning. He got a big strikeout when he needed it in the 9th inning. The Mets caught a little break with the third base bag, being their 10th fielder. And they take 3 out of 4 from the Phillies this weekend. And a huge, huge series that they just went through. And that ballpark was electric last night. And I hope they get more games because it was a lot of fun. And it's going to be even better in the playoffs. There was a band playing under the 7 train last night when we were leaving. I don't know if they were paid to be there. It looks like they just kind of showed up, set up, and started playing. And it was about 5,000 people all around them singing and dancing. And it was a wild scene. It had the feel of a playoff game. And it hasn't been like that since 2015. But there's still work to be done. There's still work to be done. It's not done yet because you go in and you crap the bed and you get swept in Atlanta and then you go lose 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee and you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in. So they can't be resting on their laurels of taking 3 out of 4 from the Phillies. They got work to do, and it starts tomorrow night. 3 in Atlanta, and it's a big, big series. You're going to have Sever. You got pitching. Listen, they got Sale going in the second game, so that's obviously a mismatch. But you got Peterson in the second game going up against Sale. You got Fried and Minaya in the third game. So you got your 2 big guys going second, third game. And then you got Swellenbacher for the Braves against Severino, who could go either way, right? He's been better lately. You could get a stinker from Severino. You could get him to pitch 6, 7 shutdown lights out innings. And that's going to be a big game. The big game, I think, for the Mets is tomorrow. Win tomorrow, and you can basically wrap this thing up. But if you lose tomorrow, then you got Sale, who's gonna run away as Cy Young winner this year. And then you could be going into the third game, losing the first 2. You need Severino to show up, and you need him to show up big tomorrow. And hopefully the bats come along with it. They could get some more runs. Mets were scoring a ton of runs coming into the series. And then remember, the first game of the series was 10-0. Then they got shut. Then they got blown. Then the Phillies blew the doors off them in the second. Third game, Mets got some late hits. And then last night, a pitcher's duel, 2-1. Sunday Night Baseball. A showcase in front of the country. And they did not disappoint. Not one bit. But still work to be done. And you can't let off the gas. And don't worry about who you're playing and positioning and this, that, and the pitchers. Listen, just get in. This is a house of horrors down there for the Mets. You still have a feeling in your gut as a Mets fan that this could go south real fast. And if they lose tomorrow and then Sale beats them on the next in game 2, now you're going to be back against the wall. Right now you got the Braves back against the wall. Keep it against the wall. Have Severino go in there, shut them down, win tomorrow's game, and you're going to feel real good, and you can eliminate the Braves. But they lose tomorrow, and then Sale does what Sale does on Wednesday. Now your back's against the wall. All this work, and then your back will be against the wall because you couldn't get it done. Last night they got it done. 5 innings. This bullpen, you cannot say enough about that work that this bullpen did. And give Mendoza credit. And they got lucky and give Nimmo a huge home run. And Taylor. I mean, give Mendoza credit for playing Taylor, right? He sits Bader. He puts Taylor out there. He brought Bader in the 8th or 9th inning for defensive purposes. But he went with his gut. He went with the hot hand. Taylor's been good. And he's been so good for this team and so clutch. And he did it again yesterday. And that's the kind of the hit that gets lost in the shuffle. That was a 2-out hit. Base hit. He found the hole on the left side of the infield. Scored the run from second. And the Mets tied the game. And then the pitching took over. And Acuna made a couple big plays. Pete made a good defensive play at first, diving. Matone got over there. It was a solidly played baseball game on both sides. The Phillies played a good game too. And give Wheeler credit. Wheeler's a hell of a pitcher. I don't know how we ever let him go. But he pitched 7 innings. He pitched his ass off yesterday. But he was just outdone by the Mets and the Mets pitching and the combination of McGill and the bullpen. And the Mets get away with a pitcher's duel 2-1 win. And they have 87 wins and 69 losses. The Mets might win 90 games this year. 90 games. Would have never thought the Mets would win 90 games coming into this year. They were punting this year away. And here we are, 87 and 69 with 6 to play and everything right in front of them. It's theirs to grab. It's theirs to give away. It's theirs to grab. What are they going to do? It starts tomorrow in Atlanta, and it doesn't get bigger than this. Don't lose that first game. Have Severino go out there and shut this team down. Because Atlanta's hot too. Atlanta's been keeping up with the Mets every step of the way. They're just as hot. Mets have been the hottest team since, for 3 months now. It's a good baseball team. This is not a fraud team. They've been doing this now a long time. Yeah, they're up and down. Yeah, they're inconsistent. But they're a good baseball team. Couple more wins. Gets them over the finish line. Let's see if they can get it. Starts tomorrow, folks. Day off today. Take a deep breath. Relax. Then tomorrow, back to work. 6 games to go. It ends on Sunday. And when the smoke clears, we'll see if the Mets are still alive and playing in the postseason. And I hope they are. And I hope they have more games at Citi Field because that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So now we're going to leave you tonight with some sounds from the game last night. You're going to hear Carl Ravitch on ESPN. You're going to hear Howie Rose on the radio side. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night in Atlanta. Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Milwaukee. And that'll do it for the baseball season. Let's see who's still standing. The Mets 2, the Phillies 1. They win last night. The Phillies have to wait another day to clinch. Mets stay alive. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. Here's some sounds from the game last night. See ya.
Remain 1-1, and Brandon Nimmo leads off the bottom of the 6th against Zach Wheeler, who's at 64 pitches through 5.
This ball is also driven deep to right off the bat, and Nimmo at the wall. It's over the wall. Brandon Nimmo delivers the big blow here in the 6th and sends Citi Field into a frenzy.
Brandon Nimmo cuts one through the wind just beyond the grasp of the right fielder Nick Castellanos, who jumped as high as he could, but the ball landed beyond his glove, and Brandon Nimmo, with his 22nd home run of the year, has given the Mets a 2-1 lead here in the 6th inning. Well, we go to the 9th inning. This is up to Diaz right here. That came within a whisker of eluding Vientos and possibly tying the game if it had trickled into left field. Wow.
The 10th fielder, the third base bag. That could have changed the game.
And so Edwin now will face Cody Clemens. 2 out, 9th inning, 2-1 New York.
Get a huge 2-1 win. Nimmo League East. What a game on a Sunday night.
Swing and a miss, strike three, put it in the books. He got him with a fastball. The Mets have taken 3 out of 4 from the Philadelphia Phillies, and they will go to Atlanta with a 2-game lead over the Braves for a 3-game series beginning on Tuesday night. The Mets are in good shape as we get to the final week of the season.